Hey everyone. I can't believe we're at the end of our summer reading series. We've read three fantastic books. Hello there, Essie. Right on time. Hold on, let me get Essie in here. Hello there. Come on in, come on in. This is the last book for our summer reading series. Thank you all for showing up every month when we chat with the author. I appreciate that. With a fantastic read, Swift River by Essie Chambers. This is a no spoiler conversation, so you don't have to worry about us giving away anything from the book. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Hey, Crystal, I've missed you. We need to have a live conversation. Haven't talked to you all summer. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Jill. So my voice may be a little hoarse because I saw Usher last night. So it's doing a lot of screaming. Hold on, I'm inviting Essie and see if she can. Essie, let me know if oh, here we go. I think I accepted it, Essie, so you should be coming in. So just a little bit of housekeeping, you guys. If you have any questions, put them down in the question box. And also, a book has not been selected for September just yet, so I'm a little behind. Been busy. Hold on. Essie, I've accepted it twice. I don't know what's wrong with it. Hold on a second. Instagram does not want us to be great. Once again. Okay, I tried to accept it again, Essie. I don't know what's wrong, but we'll get there. Hmm. Let's see if that works. Essie, if you were on a laptop, it won't work. You have to be on a phone. Oh, let's see if this works. Interesting. Okay, we're having a little technical difficulties here. It says, Essie, it says that you're unable to join. I don't know why. Okay, let me invite you. In the meantime, you guys, while we wait to work this out, just drop in there and let us know what you've read this summer that's been your favorite read. This is so odd. I'm ex- there she is. Essie, are you okay? Essie went back out and came back in. Crystal. Crystal said she read Caucasia and she loved it. Oi. Oh, I considered Oi for September. So we may. Okay, Essie, I sent it again. Octavia Grant's books. Crystal, give me a name. Essie, try going back out and coming back in. Oh, here we go. Now, here we go, Essie. There. Should be coming in. This is like ridiculous. Okay, you guys, I think we're going to have to come out and come back in. Essie, it just said I was going live with you, but it didn't pop up. What is going on? Hey, Nia. Okay, I think Essie may have left and come back in because for some reason it's not letting her join. And I've sent multiple invites. But in the time being, it says Essie Chambers is unable to join. The time being, we're going to talk about Swift River. It was a Read with Jenna book pick, and I absolutely adored this book. It is so good. It's Essie's debut, and I had the opportunity also to moderate an event with Essie here in DC for Mahogany Books. Okay, let's try this again. Sweet. Thank you for stopping back by and saying hello. Hang on, you guys. I think Essie went out. Ooh, she's still in there. Hey, Georgie. I only see 2 books. Jill, All the Colors in the Dark. I'm starting that. I'm doing the audio book. So you got there. I don't know what was going on.
Sorry.
There we go.
I'm so sorry. I think I was having like connection problems or something that has never happened to me before.
So here's the funny thing. Everyone was like, I see Essie. And I'm like, I don't see Essie. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here with you. You know, you're like, this is a full circle moment. You are the only person I've spoken to at the beginning of this journey, and now it's the end of my tour.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
It was.
I was just telling everyone while we were waiting that we met back in June for the kickoff of your book tour, which was a fantastic conversation.
It was.
Got to meet your brother. It was just a good time.
It was.
Really was a good time.
Mahogany Books. It was just such it was a beautiful energy, and you are so. I mean, you just led the conversation so beautifully. I had such a good time. And it was the beginning. I mean, I was like sort of terrified. It was like the very, very.
You did say that. You did say that because we were talking about being picked for the Read with Jenna book pick, and then all the things that were going on at that time, and you were just starting your tour.
That's right. That's right. I survived. I had just done the Today Show the first time, but then a couple weeks later, I survived like my first live television.
Yes, and you did great.
Thank you.
It was good. And then you've looked absolutely amazing. I saw you in Martha's Vineyard. I was actually going to come up for that, but wasn't able to. But I saw that look like a great time as well. Their first inaugural book fest.
Fantastic. It was just like the authors, the conversations. Yeah. It was run so beautifully. I had a great time. Awesome. I didn't know you were there. Okay.
I was going to come. I was coming up. I wasn't able to make it. Yeah, I wasn't able to make it. So, but next year, seriously, I'm going to be there.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Thank you for saying yes again, because I know we talked about, do we want to talk twice? But I knew that I wanted Swift River to be part of our summer reading series. And so this has been like the 5th year that we've done the summer reading series. And every year, it just gets better and better. And so I try to have a different mix of books. We had a thriller. And then we end with your book, which is a debut novel, and it was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
It's such a good read. I love the audiobook. So I'm going to do a brief introduction. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience. So everyone, this is our August. I can't believe it's August. August book chat with Essie Chambers for her debut novel, Swift River. I'm Jamise Harper. I'm over on Spines and Vines. I'm the founder of Diverse Spines. And I want to welcome Essie Chambers and let her do a brief introduction of herself. And Essie, if you don't mind, I didn't ask you if you wanted to read. That's kind of different when it's live. But if you would just give us a brief description of the book, and we do no spoilers.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So Essie Chambers, debut author. very much second act for me. I had a whole other life, maybe I'll talk about in TV and film. And this was the thing that was burning in me from the time I was very young to write this book. And I had that main character Diamond's voice in my head forever, and she had to come out. So I'll just, to give you like a short summary of the book. It is about the Newberry family, and it is centered around a girl named Diamond Newberry, who is just sort of this oddball, slightly weird teenage girl who is struggling with what it means to be the only person of color in her all-white town. It's this sort of crumbling New England mill town. It's set in the 80s. It starts the summer of 1987. She has just turned 16. She is really kind of isolated, living with a crazy mother, trying to figure out how to get out of there, learning to drive in secret, tease relentlessly about her weight. She's in a bigger body. And this mystery of what actually happened to her dad. Her dad disappeared 7 years ago. And so she gets a letter from a relative that on her dad's side that she's never met before. And that just sort of sets her life on this very different course. And she is introduced to an ancestor, history, family secrets, town secrets, hidden American history, and it changes who she is.
That is a perfect description. And while you were doing that, it was just bringing back all this nostalgia when I first read it, because I actually had the honor of in February doing your cover reveal.
Oh, that's
for the book.
Right.
Yeah,
you did. So you've been with me
I've been with you the whole time.
That's right.
Through the whole thing. So I did the cover reveal. And so my first question would be, what was your inspiration? You said she's been with you for a long time. It's a book that you've always wanted to write. So what was your inspiration for this story? Is in any of it, of your own personal experiences influence the writing of this book?
Yes, for sure. I mean, it's not autofiction. It's made up. Sorry.
Yes, Georgie, I love Diamond too.
Oh,
someone says I
thank you. So it is, I grew up in a similar environment where I was one of very few people of color in an all-white New England mill town.
You're
not quite as can you hear me now? I was not quite as isolated as Diamond, but I definitely felt like an outsider, and I struggled with, you're essentially forming your Black identity in the complete absence of Black culture, and trying to be yourself and figure out who you are in a space that doesn't always feel safe. And so that kind of outsider story, that experience of being the only one around people who you have to depend on, and they're your teachers and your friends and your community, and what that feel like, kind of the disorienting experience of being yourself and figuring out who you are. So I knew I wanted to tell that story and a coming of age story. Yes. And everything else kind of came to me in layers as I figured out, who Diamond was and what she needed. Everything else came in pieces.
And
Hi,
so,
Georgie.
Yes, so I see that you said she came to you. It came to you in layers.
Yeah.
And so you know that it was always just going to be one person telling the story. I
started out, so I thought this was a coming of age story. I thought this was a coming of age story about a girl who was, sort of being smothered by this mother and dealing with grief of the crazy mother, grief of what happened to the father, and I think when I realized that, I knew she was running from a lot of bad things. I didn't know, but she needed to be running towards something. She needed hope. Something needed to rescue her.
Yes.
Or not rescue. She's rescuing herself, but she needed to be reaching towards something. And so that's when I figured out, the aunt character, this black aunt character.
Yes.
Lena, and then Clara came a little bit later. I can talk about that too.
Yeah. So I loved that you gave her safe spaces, because she needed that, especially with her mom being the way that she was in the town.
Yeah.
She needed, even her friend that you gave her, right?
Kelly. Yes.
Yes. She needed that. So I want to go back a little bit and talk about, you said you had another life prior to
Yeah.
this, another, right? Producing award-winning shows.
Thank you.
And so how was that process similar or different than writing your first book?
I mean, I think on a basic level, filmmaking and, I worked in television as an executive, a creative executive. And so I was responsible for developing shows and films. And so it's sort of like an experimental process, and you figure out what works and what doesn't. And it's all team. I mean, you're essentially creating with a team of people. And often I was in a position of supporting the writer or the person whose vision we were trying to execute. And so it was very comfortable to be, sort of behind the scenes, but obviously I had my own stories that I was neglecting. And so I just think that is, I mean, just being on my own, learning how to, how to trust my own instincts about the story. I mean, it's a spiritual process. It's a learning your own mind. It's all of these things. And, you have you have 1,000 forks in the road, and sort of figuring out how to listen to your characters, how to make those choices. And so, yeah, it's just like the doing this thing that was very scary to do by myself.
Right.
And also exhilarating and exciting and but yeah, I would say that is the biggest thing. And then there are just sort of like technical differences in creating for the screen versus the page.
Yeah.
Also,
So Jill made a comment, and I have to talk about this. She said every time she had to put the book down, she kept thinking about Diamond and couldn't wait to get back to her. She is so well written. And I agree. Like she is someone that like lives in your head when you have to put the book down. So I want to talk about your craft and talk about how you developed this character. Like, are you a plotter, or you just kind of just write? Like, are there outlines? But I really want to see what you have to say about like how you developed Diamond.
yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think that I did a lot of work. I like, her voice was in my head, obviously, and she started off. She was in a short story. It was a and in that short story, I worked through. It's where I found the beginning of the book.
Okay.
Actually, to answer your first question, I knew where this book was starting and ending, and I had no idea all the things that were going to happen in between.
Okay.
And so, it was very much Diamond and this coming of age situation. And I think that people respond to Diamond the way that they do because it's such, well, I mean, I tried to be as brutally honest as I could.
Yes.
And I had, I tell a story. So like I had this Post-it on my computer at all times that said, "Tell the truth and make yourself laugh." And it started out that was for me to remind myself to be truthful. But then I realized, no, that's kind of also who Diamond is. And I think when I found the first couple sentences of the novel, that's when it sort of clicked. And those are the way that the novel opens, not the prologue, but the first chapter is, "The summer that I turned 16, I am so fat I can't ride my bike anymore. So I let it get stolen on purpose."
Yeah.
And
that's powerful.
It is, to me, it was sort of like, it means that we are coming to a girl who is in a desperate situation. She is in crisis, but she still has agency. And that to me was the crux of who she was, is that, she's a survivor and a little offbeat also.
Right. But she has such a great sense of humor as well.
I try. I'm really surprised. It's actually, it's hard, I'm cracking myself up. I don't know it's such, humor is so subjective.
Yes.
But the people telling me how funny that how often, because a lot of dark stuff is happening, obviously.
Yes.
But how much humor was present and how that really helped.
And another thing that I really enjoyed, and if you can talk a little bit about this, is within the constructs of the story, there is some historical elements to the story. And so if you can talk, I don't think this is giving anything away,
No,
but,
no.
A lot of people don't know about sundown towns, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And
Yeah.
I feel like I fully understood what sundown towns are. I went looking for a history for the father character because
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I knew that I wanted there to have been Black people in this community at some point. And I wanted to root that in something real. I couldn't really find much of anything of, sort of Black communities in rural New England in the early 20th century. And I found a book on sundown towns by a man named James Lowen, Dr. James Lowen. And a lot of it was what I understood. And just for anyone that doesn't know what a sundown town is, it's an all-white town by design.
Yes.
And so it is created by keeping Black and other marginalized people out, whether that's done by law, racist laws and ordinances, or just murder and violence and terrorism and all of the and everything in between. And the name of sundown towns, it comes from the practice of often putting a sign, sometimes right next to the welcome sign of the town, that said, Black folks, you can move through during the day, but if you are caught here after the sun sets, you will be killed or hurt.
Yes.
Worse. And so what I learned in the book, I thought this was a Southern thing. I've seen movies and
Right.
read books, but it is mostly a Northern phenomenon, and it kind of in response to the Great Migration, and thousands of these towns were created. And so it surprised me that I didn't understand it in such a profound way. It surprised me to know that the place where I came from, it was surrounded by sundown towns. Possibly the place that I grew up in could have been a sundown, and so really understanding that history, it was an opportunity, a part of American history. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It was an opportunity to share a part of American history that I think many don't really understand, and also connect Diamond to a piece of her own family history via this character, Clara, who is her.
So let's talk about, set the stage for us, because I honestly, the way that you write, I actually felt like I was actually in this town. And everything was so vivid. We talked about this 2 months ago. I told you, I felt like I was in the town. Felt like Diamond was just a girl that anyone would know. And so my question is, setting the stage, I want people that are in the audience she's with her mom, and her dad goes missing. And so talk a little bit about how that came about and what it does to the mother as well as to Diamond.
I'm sorry, can you say that, how it comes about
how they find out, that the dad is missing, and then how it completely transformed, like how the mother responds to it, and then what it does to Diamond as well.
Yeah. So the way that the book is structured, there's the present day in 1987, and then there are these flashback chapters. And in the flashback chapters, it's set 7 years prior.
Yes.
And the 7 years is relevant because after a person is missing for 7 years, you can declare them dead. And for Diamond and her mom, there was an insurance policy involved. And so rather than continue to move through life not knowing whether he's dead or alive, because they don't know if he's dead or alive, they want to declare him dead.
Don't know.
They can. What's that?
I still don't know.
And they want to get this insurance money. This insurance money is going to transform their lives. And so so a good portion of the story takes place 7 years ago, in the final year before he disappears.
Yes.
So we're getting to understand, and it's funny, originally, I don't know if you and I talked about this or not, but the father had his own perspective. Did I ever tell you that before?
I think you mentioned that, and I don't know, I can't remember the full story, but go ahead and share that. I think
the father had his own perspective, and I in the process of this was like while I was in grad school, I was working on this part of the book, and I had an incredible thesis reader named Victor Laval.
Well, yes.
The genius.
Yeah.
And he's really a great, obviously he's just brilliant, but he's especially good at structure and character. And he echoed something that I already felt, which was that I did not really understand that voice. I hadn't nailed the voice yet. And so I also realized this is a story about women. It's a story about a family of women, and he should be haunting the story. He shouldn't be telling the story. And so I made the choice to just have him be represented through the perspective of young Diamond, this 9-year-old little girl who, it's a very different thing when your parents are first coming into focus, and you're understanding that they have flaws, and so it's that moment where her parents are coming into focus, and she's seeing that her dad is kind of unraveling.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is what is happening in the earlier chapters, and then I feel like that might be a spoiler if I say when. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I do like the flashback chapters. I think that really gave a lot of insight into the story and into the characters. You said something earlier, and we talked about this before, but I think this is such a great point. You said that Black identity in the absence of Black culture. And I want you to expound a little bit more on that, because I read an article where you said this, and then you mentioned it earlier when you were doing the introduction.
Yeah. I mean, I think I spent a lot of my life, because that was my experience. I mean, I had Black family, I had access to Black culture, but not in an everyday kind of a way. And I felt like that my experience was outside of Blackness for a very long time, until I became an adult, and I have all my Black safe spaces and my and I met so many other people who were like me, who grew up not around white people, and also just being in the corporate environment, and so often being the only one in those spaces. And that idea of being the only one, I think it's a profound thing to have to hold who you are, and like I said, and develop who you are in the absence of Black culture. And I feel like it's a part of the Black American experience. It's not outside of it.
Right.
And that sort of, that lightning bolt to my head, it really changed how I think about my experience, and sort of me feeling like there was an urgency and an importance in telling this kind of a story. I mean, there are other stories like it, but telling the story about what it feels like to be an only one.
Yeah, you talk about too in the construct of that caring a lot, and Diamond was caring a lot.
Yes,
She's
yes.
16. Her mother is very codependent.
Yeah.
And a mess. Let's just say she's a mess. Her father, she doesn't know if he's living or dead. And then she has all these social things going on, things at school. She's in a bigger body. So she's caring a lot, but she's also navigating life. She's holding it together.
Yeah.
And then you do this magical thing and give her people to kind of like give her a little bit of a lift. So let's talk about the letters. That's not a spoiler.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's talk about what happens and how you introduce that, because that's probably one of my favorite parts, is her discovering her Black family.
Yeah. So it starts with Lena, her auntie Lena, who I won't say why she reaches out, but she reaches out because I think that's part of the confusion for her, is like, where have you been?
Correct.
And why are you showing up now? And part of what Lena is showing up with are these letters that are from an ancestor. And I'm going to give, it's a little bit spoilerish, but I'm gonna
It's okay.
I'm gonna talk about because it really, in the course of that research that I was doing in that book that I mentioned, I came across this one passage that was about how sometimes in sundown towns exceptions were made for a couple of people, a couple of Black folks, like kind of like, you know, the town Negroes is what you might say. And they were allowed to stay if they were serving some kind of important function for the white community. Usually they were domestics, and they hardly were outside. And I just thought, oh my God, how powerful it would be for me to tell part of the story from the perspective of a young Black girl who was allowed to stay behind after the entire Black community was chased out of Swift River.
Yeah.
So making Swift River a sundown town, but giving them that history, that to be haunted by the idea that there was a vibrant, thriving Black community that were gone. And then it's another layer of telling a completely different experience of being an only one, from this woman named Clara, who's her great aunt. And so Lena has all of this treasure trove of these letters, and so she's sharing. Lena doesn't have children of her own, so she's sharing these letters with Diamond.
Yeah,
and I should also say the letters are, it's Clara writing to her younger sister who went down south with the rest of the
right. But
most of it.
Okay, so this is the part where, like, forgive me, but Clara's writing to her younger sister.
Yeah.
Is that the dad's mom, or the dad? How's the dad?
It's Lena. It's Lena's mom.
It's Lena's mom. Correct.
That's why Lena has the. That's why Lena. Sorry, people. Sorry, anyone who hasn't read the book. I know that's a little confusing.
Yeah.
Just their letters. That's all. That's all.
You'll understand when you have read the book. Several people in here have already read the book, so I don't feel it's book club. Yeah. You're supposed to come to book club.
It's true. It's true. That is what's so beautiful. I have to say, and that's what I love that I am talking to you at this point. Like having, like, after people have already read and digested. It's beautiful. Yes.
It's a different conversation that I had with you in June, right?
I still
give them the background, but by now I'm just kind of like, I need to know for my own peace of mind.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm not going to ask the thing I want to ask, but I'm just kind of like, is there going to be more to, are we going to see these people again? Because I need answers.
Oh, if there's going to be like a sequel?
Yeah, I feel like I need answers.
He's asking me that question. I never thought about revisiting it. I mean, I kind of have a sense of what happened. I don't know, maybe I'll do it as a short story or something at some point. I would have to think a little bit more about this. I mean, what I've heard from a lot of people is that just particularly like Clara's story could be a book. You know, that
the ending, like you left us hanging.
I know. I did.
You did.
You know what? I felt like I wrote a bunch of different endings. I knew how I wanted to end, and I tried to do different endings, and none of them felt right because they all felt pat in a way, and I just didn't feel like it represented Diamond's life, the truth of Diamond's life.
It didn't need a bow on it, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like joy, and it's also the Black experience, joy and pain. They live right next door, you know, and I wanted to give some of both, even in the ending, that there was pain, but despite the pain, that there was all of this hope and joy, and but I will tell you, I get it often enough, especially people want to know that Diamond's okay.
Yes.
And I think maybe I don't think it's going to be my next book. I don't know. I would have to
take a short story. I even want to know who the man is at the house that they see. Well, I want to know who that is. Like I have so many questions. Like
the house that
they drive by. She drives by and she sees a guy going in the house, Black guy.
Oh yeah. I don't think, you know what? I can say this because this is a book club, right? Yeah, I can say this.
Yes.
I don't think I meant for that man to not be any, like, with intention. He's not someone that's connected to in that way. She tells at one point that the story of when the Harlem Globetrotters came to town, and everyone was saying how her dad's back because they were just seeing tall black
guy.
Tall black guy. And so in which is just a horrible racist, you know. I think that in many ways, what she was realizing is that she was doing that same thing with that was part of her own personal horror, is that this is just a Black man who moved into town with his family.
Yeah.
There is no,
Yes.
there's no mystery beyond that. And here she is doing the exact same thing, entertaining the idea that this could be her father. And of course it's not her father. I mean, you know, I guess people do think that that is her dad. There are some people that think that's her dad.
There are people who think it
Sorry.
was never there. There was never any type of. You never went back to it. It never. You know, she just saw this man. He had kids.
Yeah.
She probably as a young child, she probably doesn't really remember or recall.
Yep.
So
I think
she sees it.
my thinking, the open-endedness, and there's still room for the open-endedness. It's not him. He could be somewhere else, but it's not that in that moment she understands
that it's not.
Well, she gets a bunch of things. She understands that she doesn't want it to be him.
Right. Because it would, oh my God, that would break her heart if he left for another family. But this is what the townspeople are saying, right? They're saying all these horrible things about him, that he left them, and she really doesn't know.
That's
and
right.
Her mom just can't wait to get the money.
Right. That's right.
Okay, let's talk about the mom.
Let's talk about the mom.
She's a mess.
She is a whole mess. I had so much. It's funny. The other experience that I have had is how angry people are at her mothering. People are mad. I mean, also understanding that they're holding that she's crazy and they have some empathy for her. But people come to my readings like just mad. This is like the most ridiculous way to create a character, but I've shared this before. Part of her extreme dysfunction came from my desire for my own mother to not see herself in this character. My mother is like,
yeah. You did say that in June. You said, I don't want people to think this is my mom.
This is not my mother.
Yes.
Like, and so I was like, let me make her like the opposite of my mother.
Yes.
And the more that I didn't want to do that in a two-dimensional, you know, I wanted her to be rich and complicated and to like hate her in moments, and then in the next moments feel like tenderness for the place that she's in. And so I think my first impulse was just like, Diamond is going to be dealing with a crazy mom, and then I needed to make her to make her dimensional. But I think it's also, you're watching a woman you're watching two people grieving in very different ways.
Yes.
You're watching you know, Ma's way of mourning is like, keep it moving. And so some of her crazy comes from her numbing, her taking her pills, and all these ways that she is trying not to feel anything. Whereas Diamond is not fighting that, not wanting to feel. And so, and the tension between those two things is really, I think, also at the heart of their relationship, of their journey together, where they land at the end. Yeah. But I had fun, and also, you know, I wanted there to be humor in their interactions. And you know, who hasn't had? I feel like even if your mother is not that extreme, everybody's felt like their mom was embarrassing, and you know, and and so playing with that sense of like the most extremely embarrassing mother that you can imagine. Yeah.
So it seems like you had fun writing that character.
I had a lot of fun writing that character.
Yes. And what was the hardest character to write? If there was.
I mean, Mom was hard. Ma and Shelley were hard in that I wanted them both to be, and this was the experience of my own that I wanted to get at, this idea that like, you're loving people who are saying like hurtful things often without intention, you know, like just, I think I shared this with you before. I read a friend of mine introduced me to the book Citizen many years ago as I
favorite books.
Fantastic book. And the Claudia Rankine, I think that the part that hit me in my heart was this idea that like, I think it was, there were a couple of scenes with colleagues and friends who were just saying the most awful things to her. And this notion that she loved them. Like these were friends. These were people that were close to her. And what that does to you when you are needing to swallow that pain often.
Right.
And to maintain the community that you have, or the place that you're in with these, and you know, you can't be fighting this, you know, like, so Shelley to me is the embodiment of that. Is like, it's a friend who loves her, but who says crazy things and does crazy things. And what does that mean for Diamond to both love her and also be deeply wounded by her? And so that writing, I think that there were moments in earlier drafts where Shelley was like a little bit of a more cartoonishly, you know, ridiculous. But and I just sort of had to keep pulling it back, where it's like, you know, so that she was hard. And, you know, honestly, Clara was hard just because of I wanted to make sure that I got the dialect right.
Right.
Felt her voice was Clara to me. I wanted to have a character who was also experiencing pain, but was much more joyful, just in the way that, in her expression of herself. And so that was a lot of fun to write, is you know.
Yeah, you talk about like the people that are closest to you, like saying the hurtful things, right? And it's, we talk about the microaggressions, like the grandmother.
The grandmother, yeah.
The people
Death by 1,000 Cuts. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like Shelley, you would say, like, well, you're not like those Black people, right?
That's
those
right.
That type of thing. Like, how do you navigate in that space when there are people that you love?
That's right. That's right. I mean, I've heard that. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard that in my life, where it's sort of like, in order for a white, you know, certain kind of a white person to feel like they can love you, incredible, you have to be an exception to all of the racist ideas that they have about Black people.
Exactly.
So how do you, especially at 16, when you just want to belong, how do you navigate that?
Yeah.
So
I gotta talk. We have to go to the other characters, you know, Lena and Clara, and just what they mean and what they brought to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, she has this whole, and the mom was a little jealous that Lena came around. Well, that Lena came, you know, made herself present in Diamond's life.
Yeah. I mean,
and then she kept it a secret from her.
She did keep it a secret from her. And I think that, you know, Lena, and this was the complicated thing about this, the mother. Obviously, she loved Diamond and she wanted her to be happy and have good things in life, but she didn't want her to leave her.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, because Blackness was foreign to her, I think that just sort of taking a step in that direction was also scary to her, because it would be walking towards a thing that she didn't understand. And so I think people had a strong response to that, like that sense that it was a mother who, like, isn't a mother's instinct supposed to be to want you know, everything wonderful for, like, yes. Not always.
No, right.
And so Lena was also imperfect. I think that, and that was important to me too. She was not just a pure savior. She made choices that were questionable and was a little bit selfish, and so and was also an outsider in the family in her own way. Yeah. And so they were talking to each other about outsiderness without actually saying,
I'm an outsider.
Exactly. And so that was really, you know, I did not want to write an epistolary novel. That was not my goal. It was sort of like, a lot of that conversation was happening off the page, you know, in between the, you know, and so, because, you know, Diamond, you never saw any of Diamond's letters back to her.
No.
Which
you did not.
Was very, with a lot of, I just didn't want it to, you know,
we had no idea what Diamond was saying back to her.
I wanted, right, showing up in her life. I wanted the ways that she was getting filled up with family and identity to show up in the ripples of how she was starting to break free of her mother and love herself.
Yes.
Rather than saying that in letters to her aunt. So that was, yeah. And I will say, I got a lot of help. My editor, I was probably too subtle in a lot of ways, because a lot of that was the hardest thing, is to make sure that all of those different perspectives and letters were like talking to each other in a way, and connected. And then there was, and I think that and my editor helped me to figure out, like, you know, where to show movement so that you could see that that the letters were really, really having an impact on Diamond's life.
Well, let's set the stage of where she read the letters. Now, I told you this is one of my favorite parts. I mean, she is reading the letters in her dad's car.
Yes.
I mean, it's like her own little cave where she can get away from her mom. She's experiencing blackness.
Yes, in her dad, in the middle of her dad. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's you know, I struggled with, I knew that she needed a safe space. And it didn't come to me until I think probably well into, you know, halfway. I think the half of the book was written before I realized, oh no, all this needs to be happening in the car. You know, I didn't want to be too on the nose with all the things that it represented, but it is of course that because it's she doesn't really have that much of her father, and
Yeah.
and so it is an actual space that she can be, and it has all these little pieces of him throughout that haven't been moved or touched or thrown away by her mother. They're exactly intact.
Yeah.
And so she actually talks to him out loud in the, you know, it's a bubble in time for her. It's a time capsule because, you know, has the half-eaten peppermint patty, and, you know, just
yes, everything. It's like that was like brilliant. That was probably one of my favorite. I told you this is one of my favorite parts is that whole car where she's reading. Yes.
Thank you. That was.
I also told you that one of your blurbs on the front of your book, it says broke my heart and then offered me hope. And I don't know. And when I read that, I said, I'm gonna love this book because Anne's Hello Beautiful, you know, family, sisters, and all that. So I'm like, oh, this, you know, I normally don't trust blurbs, but I kind of like, I just having coming off of reading Hello Beautiful, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be
very much in conversation, those books.
Yeah.
In many, I so appreciate who she is in the world, but like, yeah, get like that language and giving that language to describe the book, and then just, I mean, of course, in that really beautiful, concise way is just, and that's the kind of book that I want to read. Also, you know, like I want my heart, you know, I don't mind a little some tea. Like
I want mine broken, but I want it put back together.
Exactly.
I do.
Exactly. And that's what that blurb said.
Yeah.
Really.
And so, oh my God, I cannot believe we talked this long. I'm like looking at, I'm like, oh my goodness. I want to ask you, what did you learn about yourself? Right. Swift River. And then like, think about like when the book first came out to now, you know, you're writing, what did you learn about yourself? But how has this experience changed you or impacted you?
Oh my gosh, it's such a big question in so many ways. I was actually just thinking about that today. I mean, I think that particularly in the beginning of this, when I first started talking to you, I had such imposter syndrome, not knowing. I mean, I probably still do. I mean, I don't know. That seems like a common enough thing, but like this idea that I didn't know if the well would dry up, and you know, and so I think in the process of writing this book, I learned, I developed a writing practice, which was important. And what that practice allowed me to do was tap into the part of myself that does understand that there are infinite stories, and I'm going to write a lot of garbage, and then there's going to be a moment that something comes through me, and it's almost spiritual, and I just have to trust that moment is always going to come. And there was a moment in this process where I realized, oh right, and then it's sort of it's like you know, swimming with the current and not against it. So it's sort of like instincts and intuition and learning to trust those around the writing process. That was that was, and you know, I already know the next book and all that, you know, that kind of stuff. And then I would say this didn't come until I started having conversations with people who'd read the book,
Mm-hmm.
and they were responding to that outsider thing that we were talking about, and this idea that I was not, I don't think I was healed for, I was still exploring the depths of the pain that I experienced in my life,
Mm-hmm.
which seems like the most obvious thing in the world now, because I do think that, like, if it was something that was resolved, I couldn't explore it with the kind of honesty that I did. And so I think that I tapped into a truth of my own truth
Oh,
about how much pain I had been in, and how much I picked up around me that I wasn't aware of. Did I share with you what I discovered about my own
no,
hometown?
let's, I think you did, but you
Yeah,
need to share it.
no,
Yes,
it's
yes.
I haven't talked about this a lot. I had been working on an essay about sundown towns, and I shared with people that I discovered that, through James Lowen and his book and his database, that the town next to where I grew up is thought to have been a sundown town. But I just felt like, what about my own town? There has to be some. And so I started talking to local historians and discovered that there was a Black church and a Black community
Yes.
in my town before I got there. We got there, and at some point they left, and we don't know why. And it doesn't even necessarily have to have been an incident, but there were Black people and then there
Mm-hmm.
weren't. And so essentially, I wrote a whole book about a girl having experienced something that mirrored my own experience without me even knowing
Yeah.
it. And which is, to me, profound, because I do think that there are ways that that kind of history haunts our present. And I'm certain that I was picking
I
up
have
on that.
chills.
I, you and me both. I still haven't figured out how to write about it,
Mm-hmm.
because I do think it is a universal thing. I mean, this is the thing. This is, the past is always present.
Yes.
That's the nature of history. And I think that, that discovery for me is still unraveling, and I'm still figuring out what that means. And so, yeah, to be continued. I'm certainly gonna be writing more about that.
I absolutely love it. I just, oh my gosh, we could talk forever. Let us, before you go,
Sure.
tell us what you're working on. If you can, just give us a little hint. What's next? I'm excited. I already know.
Uh, it is, I can't, this is a unsatisfying answer. Like, I know my characters, and I know it's a crazy situation that I've put them in, and I haven't put everything together. I feel like I need to be more certain about what it's about. I'm kind of like exploring that now, but it is, it's a crazy, they are all living and talking in my head already. It's going to be another multi-perspective novel. And it is about a group of characters. I'm not going to give away too much, who leave the country. And so I'm probably going to go somewhere else to write it.
Okay.
So that I can be inspired by being a fish out of water and new surroundings like my characters. But it's a very interestingly nutty frame that I'm putting them in.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. And so I can't think of a better debut novel. This book was so, like, after talking to you today, I want to actually go and read it again. And maybe I'll have a different perspective, because I talked to you at the beginning,
Yeah.
and I talked to you at the end. And so maybe I'll have, right, Georgie? Georgie says, oh shit, like, what's this book gonna be?
Georgie is like my favorite reader. Sorry, other readers, but I love Georgie.
So, but I'm so thankful that our paths have
Me
crossed.
too.
We're forever connected, and I
Forever.
can't wait to see what's next. I so can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel so honored to have been brought into this community, because you've done a beautiful thing in the creation of this community, and
Thank
the
you.
choices of your book. I mean, I just feel so honored.
Thank you.
So thank you. And I always love our conversations. So hopefully there'll be more.
It definitely, for sure.
Okay.
So you guys, as I stated earlier, thank you to Essie. As I stated earlier, I have not picked the September book. I'm very behind. Work has been a thing, but life is lifing. I'll figure it out probably this weekend. So thank you so much, Essie. And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Take
Okay.
care. Bye-bye.
Take care.